Hello, everybody. This is the Chocolate News Podcast. I'm your co-host, John Alexander Reese.
And I'm your co-host, Morgan Angelique Owens.
And if you didn't know, the Cincinnati Herald has been around since 1955 and is the leading African-American owned newspaper in the greater Cincinnati area and northern Kentucky area. And today we have with us our digital correspondent, Andria Carter. How's it going, Andria?
Fine. How are you, John? How are you, Morgan?
I'm doing good. Just bracing for this snowstorm we're about to get.
Yes, I am doing good. I had to hit up my Bengal players last week.
You followed through on that. All right.
Sure did.
We're actually going to talk about the Bengals on today's show, so that should be very cool. And we also have with us a special guest, Dr. Anisa Shomo. How are you doing today, Doctor?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for having me.
No problem at all. So before we head into our main topic, we're going to spout out some chocolate news. So, Andria, what's the chocolate news of the week?
Well, I'm since Morgan got us started, I'm going to start with the Bengals. Yes.
Yes. What a game.
Yes. I mean, I could not eat my dinner until that game was over with. I mean, it was such a tight game. It was unbelievable. I don't know what to say. It was a good game.
It was. I was worried for a little bit, especially during overtime because of those rules. I was like, okay, it's like we didn't win the coin flip, and I was like, oh Lord, I can't watch anymore. But of course, I stayed and watched the end, and I'm glad that I did. And I was actually with my dad and one of my brothers, so it was a special moment because my dad got up and did his victory dance. He said he was going to do one, so I had to stick around and see that dance.
It feels like I'm living in like an alternate timeline where the Bengals are just this good because I can't remember what year it was. Was it 2018 when they were like 2-14 or whatever? Or was it? Yeah, it was just like, and it's just amazing to see them come back and all this new life just injected into the Bengals. It just makes me so excited. So
it's called doing well in the draft, and Joe Burrows being able to draft a really good quarterback.
Yes. I mean, there have been a number of if you listen to all the sports pundits talk about, everyone is like, the Bengals, it's almost like how they used to talk about the Saints, remember how bad the Saints were? Oh my God. So I mean, but I think what was interesting, since they got into the playoffs, it seems the defense got even better and the offense stepped up and got better. There was a light switch that got turned on. And it does help that this year for the Chinese New Year is the year of the tiger.
It sure is. Yeah.
So, we got all this karma, supernatural universe speaking up in the world. I'm going with it. So, I mean, the fact that we used to say, can we just get to the playoffs? Now we're in the Super Bowl. I'm just like, unbelievable. I'm trying to think about now what I'm going to take to the Super Bowl party I'm going to. So.
Right. And I didn't watch the game because I'm a Buckeyes fan, and I felt like a lot of times when I watched the game that like as soon as I would go to the bathroom that we would score. So I was like, I haven't been watching the Bengals all year. I think I'm bad luck this year. So I haven't watched all year, so I'm not going to watch now. But
thank you so much for your service. You did it. And he said, you did it. Thank you.
So I only saw like the scores. I didn't know that they had come back from like 18 points down to win. I was like, that is amazing.
Yeah, because I mean, my sister called me up, and Andy Reid, his MO has always been as a coach, score early, intimidate the opposition, and then ride the wave of that opposition. Ride the wave of that intimidation. And that's what they did here. I don't think they counted on the Bengals coming back from such a deficit. They knew that they would fight, but not to the extent of that they did. And I remember my sister calling me up and saying, this is the reason why we call them the Bengals. And I just said, look, they haven't woke up yet. They're just still figuring things out. Don't worry. I called her up after they tied the score. I called her back and I said, well, what do you think? She hung up on me. So.
She hung up. Eddie.
So I mean, it everyone who's used to calling them the Bengals, they're having a change of heart. They're buying swag. I mean, my sister turned 360 degrees. She not only bought swag for Bengals swag, she bought a Cincinnati t-shirt. So I was like, oh, okay. So
she jumped on the bandwagon. Well, that's good. We can have her on the bandwagon. I'm jumping on it too.
She jumped on the bandwagon. I mean, like
I'm not gonna watch the Super Bowl though. I'm gonna stay away.
Well, here's my thing. Who really watches the Super Bowl? It's about the party and the halftime show. Right. Yes, it's going to be a good game because it's going to be the Bengals against the Rams, which is interesting. But everyone is talking about that halftime show.
Oh, yes. Dr. Dre, Kendrick Lamar, Eminem, and Mary J. Blige. Oh my God, that's like the perfect halftime show. I mean, so excited just for that.
It's not only exciting to see hip hop get their due, but I can't wait for Mary J. Blige to turn it out. So
and Snoop Dogg. I forgot about Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, I was gonna say Snoop Dogg too. Yeah. I'm really excited for Mary J. Blige. There was a joke that Mary J. Blige would be the only one whose music won't be bleeped because I think Eminem's supposed to be there too. Eminem as well. So it's gonna be like a bunch of people with a lot of music that has curse words. So hopefully they choose their songs wisely.
Oh yeah. So I mean, but I'm looking forward to it. The one thing I'm also looking forward to not seeing is Tom Brady.
Yes.
And he on that note, he has retired finally. There was some speculation that a little early before he actually announced that he was going to retire, but he finally did it. And I think after 7 Super Bowl rings and a number of other awards and gone, with 2 different teams and things like that, it's time to rest his body because I'm sure he's 44 and achy. Ooh, that's a lot of, brutal to take of the end of the football. Ooh.
Yeah, they said 22 years. Is that like a record?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
22 years in football is a lot.
It's a lot. You don't last that long. Normally, you're usually out by your early or mid 30s, and he's in his 40s. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens down the road physically, because when you stay in, the longer you stay in, the harder it is on your body. So we'll just see. Hopefully he'll do well and become a commentator someplace.
Well, much respect to Tom Brady because, I know Tom Brady gets a lot of hate, but he really is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. So definitely much respect to him.
It'll be interesting to see if he becomes a coach.
That would be interesting.
Because the Brady family has a long history of being involved in football, whether it's playing or coaching. So I wonder if he's going to become a coach someplace and see what type of mind he is as a coach and how he can direct a team to be a winning team. That will be interesting to see.
Definitely. But also with the Bengals, though, apparently there's going to be like the schools are shutting down on Monday. Was it February the 14th in anticipation that the Bengals win the Super Bowl?
Yes, that is going to be an unofficial holiday. I think it's going to be an unofficial holiday for everybody if they win.
I've never heard of that before. That's very interesting.
Well, I think it's very interesting, but I think the fact that it's a fun way for kids to something positive to celebrate. And, everyone is probably going to try and go all downtown to Fountain Square if the weather permits and hang out and party. I've seen those celebrations in the past with the Reds, with the Olympics, with our Olympic athletes, with, just the honors that our athletes receive over time on again and again on Fountain Square. That is something you only experience once. And everyone should get an opportunity to go down there, see the celebration, hear the speeches. And even if you don't get a chance to see your sports team, at least be part of the party. Because then you can say, I remember back in 2022, we were hanging out on Fountain Square because the Bengals won the Super Bowl, blah, 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 blah. You don't get those stories like that too much. Yeah. So,
but what I found kind of a bummer, because I don't know if you heard that they were trying to get a watch party at Paul Brown Stadium. Unfortunately, the NFL shot that request down, which is kind of a bummer because it's like, I think it would have been great if you could have gotten like people down there to celebrate, because since the Bengals haven't been to the Super Bowl since like 1989, but it is what it is.
Well, I think it's sad that the Bengals the stadium couldn't take advantage of that. But, at the same time, all the sports bars are going to be full with everyone watching the game. Same thing. It's just people be sitting in seats watching the screen,
Right. Yeah.
So, but, it's unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
So, but unfortunately, even though we have the good news of the Bengals, we have a little sad news as well. Legendary drummer Philip Paul died this past Sunday. He actually had got COVID and passed away. He was 96, but everyone knows that he was associated as the studio band with King's Record that recorded a number of legendary acts for different all types of musical genres in Evanston. But he was especially known for the twist and fever. He's the one who created the timing on the twist and the song Fever. And I happened to, at the time I worked for the city, I got to be part of when a number of King's Record musicians and singers were honored with, honorary street signs. And Philip Paul was one of them. He received a street sign in Evanston. I think also at the same time, there were a couple of sisters, and Bootsy Collins received an honorary street sign as well on Woodson Avenue. So hard to see our legends go away, but let's remember Philip Paul. And then also, it's also kind of sad too. Everyone heard about Miss USA Chelsea Christ, who committed suicide just this week. It's so sad to think a young woman who had a number of accolades, who achieved so much she was a lawyer, she got her MBA, she was coming up in the world, she was an anchor, not an anchor, but she was a correspondent on
Extra,
thank you. Could not think of it, Extra. I almost said the wrong one. And I mean, it's just sad to see that a life has been taken, but there's also said that she may have suffered from depression. And even though things were going well for her, if you have depression, sometimes you can't handle it and you become overwhelmed and things go a tragic way instead of a positive one. And I think it's kind of sad to say that she is the second person within the entertainment industry to commit suicide. So, Regina King's son, we talked about that last week.
Mm-hmm.
He committed suicide, which is kind of sad to think that, our young people are suffering and they're not letting people know that they're suffering. And we need to have people open up more and let folks know and reach out and say, can you help me? And hopefully people will recognize the signs. One other chocolate news before I go is, and it's unfortunate, Black History Month started yesterday. Happy Black History Month to everybody. I hope everyone enjoys Black History Month. Look up their own history in their own, either in Cincinnati or nationally. Learn a little piece of your culture, whether it's through music, cosmetics, entertainment, cooking, sports. Read up on who has come before you so you can succeed. But unfortunately, our historical Black colleges, who are our role models, are physical entities of history for us, a number of them have received bomb threats yesterday. 13 received bomb threats, and I thought about a couple more. And there has been an onslaught of bomb threats since January 5th to historically Black colleges. And the FBI is involved in investigating. And so allegedly, the last report I saw was that there were 6 juveniles from across the country were possibly hackers who have put together these bomb threats, but we don't know for sure. So I will keep you all up to date as this happens. Luckily, the closest historical Black college that received a bomb threat to us was Kentucky State. But Central State and Wilberforce did not receive one, but they have received them in the past last year. So we just have to continue to watch, support, and protect our historically Black colleges, because people who are intimidated by entities of education will try and destroy them.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's so sad when you get a bomb threat, and especially during Black History Month. I'm just like, what's up with that? Like, why? It's like, what do these historical Black colleges? It's like, it's just, guess it's some sick game to this person. It's a really damn shame.
Well, I think it's kind of sad when you have young people who may have been for whatever reason, it might be just viewed as a nationwide joke that they could all do it, through technology.
Yeah.
I think that is shameful, number one, to think that you could do that, and two, believe that you could get away with it. Historical Black colleges have educated not only people of color, but also people of non-color, have found out how wonderfully rich historically Black colleges are in terms of education, in terms of experience, and also being able to see what life is like in a different way. And they get a well-rounded education. And to have some kids who think it might be a joke to threaten that is just a shame.
It kind of reminds me when people do like doxing and swatting and stuff. People think that's hilarious. But I'm just like, no, it's not hilarious at all. And it's like, it's caused death, on several occasions. It's like, I don't know, it's just like some people were just so jaded and they'll just say, oh, it's just a joke, it's no big deal. And I said, it's not a joke, it's just serious. There's real world consequences for this.
Yes. And I think not enough young people, or people in particular, are being taught what real world consequences are. And they're going to learn the hard way what that means. So we'll just see what happens. I'll continue to update our Chocolate News audience as these stories continue to update and occur. So.
Okay, well, that's it for the Chocolate News. So now we'll switch it over to Morgan Angelique Owens, where she'll enlighten us with some beauty, lifestyle, and culture. So take it away, Morgan.
All right. Thank you, John. So just some quick updates. I have a Galentine's Day is coming up. We are celebrating February 10th. It's a free virtual event. So anyone listening, hopefully we can link the tickets somewhere, John, for people to sign up, but it's on Eventbrite. So come out and celebrate Galentine's Day. Learn to make a cocktail, learn a spicy dance routine, and we're going to celebrate all things Gal Pals powered by Crunchmaster crackers.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I'm so glad you referenced Galentine's Day, because that's like the best thing to ever come from Parks and Recreation.
Yeah.
And we'll make sure to put that link in the bio.
Yeah, so free virtual event. But I am super excited to have my girl back on, Dr. Anisa Shomo. So this segment is powered by her awesome business, Health is Love. And we are going to be talking about some healthy habits going into 2022. And also, let's shout out for today's date, which is 2222. So today is a lucky day if you're into numbers. So welcome, Dr. Shomo.
Thanks for having me back, Morgan.
Yeah. So again, just introduce yourself to the audience so they familiarize themselves with you again.
Yes. So I am a family medicine physician here in Cincinnati, but I also have two businesses. One of them is called Dr. Shomo Knows, and I talk about health information topics. And I have another business called Health is Love, which has a little bit of different focus. It has more of a mental health and wellness focus. I wrote a book called Health is Love about mental health, and basically trying to it's really hard to affect your physical health without working on your mental health first. So it's all connected, mind, body, spirit. So that's really what my Health is Love brand is about.
Yes, and we love to see it. So we are doing some things in partnership with Herald Beauty, with Health is Love. And, what are some things that we need to do in 2022? New year, I always say new year, better you. Because we don't need a new you. We're just going to improve on the you that we got. So what are some healthy habits that we should be starting to incorporate into this new year?
Right. So one thing I don't often say about myself is I specialize in taking care of older adults. I'm what's called a geriatrician. So I'm board certified in family medicine, also board certified in geriatrics. And so I love geriatrics because I feel like I get to find out the secrets of how to live longer because I take care of people who are in their 70s, 80s, 90s. And I take care of younger people, of course, too. But the majority of my patients, there's a lot of baby boomers. So I take care of a lot of baby boomers. And you really get to see like how they live their life to live that long. Because for me, the goal of taking care of mind, body, and spirit is to live a long, fruitful life without disability, without having a lot of health problems if you can help it, but just being able to be my dream is to be a old thriving person because I love old people. I don't know why, but I just love old people. So that's really what like drives me, is trying to help people live to be older. And I had a patient today who's in her 40s who said that. She's like, I chose you because you specialize in geriatrics and I want you to help me live longer.
Yeah.
So that's what it's all about for me. And I would say the biggest thing I tell people often is just try to focus on yourself. I think a lot of times people compare themselves to other people, try to do things that other people do all the time. You can get advice and it's not like bad to get advice.
Yeah.
But you have to like think about yourself and what works for you and just kind of what makes you tick. So there can be a lot of ways you can do that. One of the things I tell people is to not try to change like 20 things all at once, because people will try to make changes and they'll try to change everything, but you have to make what we call SMART goals. And so that's just making like a realistic goal that you can attain. So this stands for small, measurable. Oh, I'm sorry, not small. It stands for specific, measurable, attainable. I can't remember what the other ones, so I'm gonna scratch that.
Y'all can look it up. Y'all know what SMART goals.
Well, yeah. So, but the purpose of it is to make a goal that's attainable, something that's specific, something that's attainable. So for me, like if I wanted to make a SMART goal right now, I would say I want to eat less tortilla chips, because that's what I've been doing all day today. I've been eating a lot of tortilla chips. So I would say, okay, so instead of eating tortilla chips all day, I'll just have a small bowl of tortilla chips. And then after that, I'm going to put them away in the cabinet so I can't see them. Because that's one of the biggest things. Like visual cues is one of the things that helps people overeat snacks, is to have them out in that way. Another SMART goal you could make would be to try to eat, vegetables at every meal. So sometimes people will eat like salad for breakfast. Sometimes people will just try to get more veggies in their dinner and lunch. A lot of times what can be nice with the veggies is replacing carbs with veggies. So like, like for lunch today, I had a bunch of Brussels sprouts and pretty much just had Brussels sprouts for lunch. So just trying to find like different ways to get more fruits and veggies in your diet, because the fiber that's in fruits and veggies keeps you full longer and makes you not eat as much. So just trying to find like different small things you can do.
No, I love that, especially with the carbs and swapping out for veggies. I do that a lot. There was a recipe I found years ago for sweet potato nachos, and I know it sounds weird, but they are so good. Actually, and got a sweet potato, but they are so bomb. Like they taste so good. Like you would load them up with what you would usually put on nachos, even the sour cream, and like you don't need the starchy potato, or even zucchini noodles instead of pasta noodles. So totally agree. And also along those healthy habits, I've started getting back into like making myself eat breakfast, lunch, dinner, eating, working out properly. I'm not really a bad eater, but, cutting down on the fast food, cooking at home. And I've seen an improvement in just my energy and my mood. So it definitely affects all those things.
It definitely does. And that's the thing we call that biofeedback. Like often your body will tell you that you're eating terrible because you feel terrible. And we often just ignore it, and we're just like, oh, I'm so tired. Oh, I'm so tired. I need to sleep more. And it's like, no, you need to change what you're eating. So I don't eat tortilla chips often. I only have them because I was at work and somebody gave me like a bunch of tortilla chips randomly. I do like salty snacks, but I tend to make popcorn myself. So I pop popcorn at home and I'll put just a little bit of salt on it. And it actually has a lot less calories and is more filling than tortilla chips. So I try to avoid chips. And now that's the thing, you just try to switch out different things.
Yeah.
One of the things I tell people is that, like, for me, I've been on this journey of like trying to eat a lot of fruits and vegetables and low carb diet I'm trying to think, probably since I was a teenager, probably since about age 16. I was raised in a bakery. My parents are bakery owners. And at one point I was eating cake like every day, and I gained a bunch of weight, and I was like, I probably shouldn't be eating cake every day. so at that age, it's like, all right, probably shouldn't do that. And just since then, I've just been on this journey, like every year, because my dad has diabetes. He got diagnosed when I was probably a little bit younger than a teenager. And I was like, I don't want to end up like, my dad has had like toes amputated and just has been hospitalized, a few times. He's still with us at age 70. So he's doing pretty good. But for me, just at a young age, I just started little by little, like I can't eat a lot of carbs because diabetes runs pretty heavily in my family. So everybody has their own story and their own journey that they have to watch out. But for me, I do have to focus on my carbs and not eating a lot of carbs, because that causes diabetes for people with my genetic predisposition.
Yeah. So definitely knowing, what your, I wouldn't say triggers, but like your family history.
Yes.
Things, and just being aware of that. All right. Give us one more healthy habit we should definitely look into for 2022.
Another big thing for me is just trying to be active. So I had surgery recently and I couldn't move. Like I was pretty much on like couch rest for 2 months. And I went back to work and I was just like feeling like out of breath. Like I really didn't gain any weight because I wasn't really eating bad. So I went back to work and I was just short of breath walking around. So I started trying to get into a routine and trying to get up in the morning to walk on the treadmill or do some kickboxing. Morgan knows I love kickboxing. That's what we do in Kirby Cardio a lot. That's when I teach it, that's what I do. So I've been back on my kickboxing in the morning and I've been feeling a lot better. So the biggest thing is just try to move more, try to eat more fruits and veggies, mostly the veggies, because fruit can have a lot of sugar and carbs too. But just try to make those little changes as much as you can, because for me, it's been over 20 years that a lot of small changes have led up to a lot healthier of a lifestyle than it was when I was 16.
Yes, no, those are awesome tips. And with that also, Dr. Shomo does a lot with Curvy Cardio as well, which is free this year. So make sure you head to morganaowens.com, click that Curvy Cardio sign up. We are about to kick off soon. So you do a lot under your Health is Love. Can you talk about what you do for Curvy Cardio?
Yes. So when the pandemic hit in 2020, I wanted to kind of just lead some meditations because that really helped me in 2019. I actually had a really tough 2019 in my cancer journey. And then my father-in-law got diagnosed with cancer and one of my good friends died. So it was a really tough time for me. And that's kind of when I got more into the mind piece of it and started learning about meditation and using yoga for that. So I started doing yoga on my Dr. Shomo Knows page. And that's kind of one of the things that kind of inspired me to start on this Health is Love journey. And so then I started teaching for Curvy Cardio, something called Curvy Cardio Stretch, where we do a lot of times often we'll do kickboxing or even dance. I love dance as well. And then we'll try to kind of bring it down and do some meditation at the end.
Yes, and we love it and we need it. So as always, Anisa, I like to end by asking, what top 3 beauty products can you not live without?
Oh my goodness. So you always ask me this and I'm always like, I have no idea. So right now, I have my hair in braids right now, like you do too, because we're twinsies. So I don't know if you still do, but
no, I don't, but we can.
When I got my hair braided, you had your hair braided, but I've been using this Dr. Coily scalp oil, and that's been helping me in my braids. And then I also just got like a big bonnet for my braids. I haven't had braids a lot as an adult. I got them a lot when I was a teenager. So I just got a huge bonnet to be able to shower with my braids. And then what else have I been using lately? One just regular thing that I do in the winter is use Vaseline for moisturizing my hands because they get really dry. And I try not to use like a lot of things with perfumes, especially at work, because at work, that can trigger people's asthma and everything. So just use plain Vaseline and keep my hands moisturized in the summer, in the winter.
Yeah, that good old fashioned Vaseline still works.
Yeah,
still definitely works. So how can everyone find you, support you, follow you online?
My Instagram, healthislove.co, is where you can find that. Links to my Facebook. You can go to my website. It'll link you to my Facebook as well.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. Anisa, I know we're going to have you back in a few weeks to talk about some self-love because it is Valentine's Day month. We're going to talk about some self-love for your health and your wellness. So thank you so much for joining us.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Yes, John, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Thanks, Morgan. Appreciate it. Well, that's it for this week's show. Thank you, Andrea, for coming on and discussing all of the good chocolate news.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And thank you, Dr. Shomo, for coming on also.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
No problem. You can find more information about today's topics and past podcast episodes at www.thecincinnatiherald.com, the SESH newsletter, or on our social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Make sure to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast app. Our podcast is on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, the Facebook mobile app, YouTube, and on Google Podcasts. I'm John Alexander Reese.
And I'm Morgan Angelique Owens.
And have a good day.